of your Philadelphia Eagles and news around the NFL. Broadcasting live from Chickies and Pete's, tonight's show is brought to you by Rob's Automotive and Collision, BCWSA, Chickies and Pete's, Allstate Fairless Hills Tom LaCroix, Penworth Financial Services, Penn Community Bank, Capital Grill, Ventresca's LTD, Independence Blue Cross, and SEPTA. We now go live to Chickies and Pete's for the Pro Football Report, presented by BCWSA. Now, here are your hosts, Delaware County Times Birds reporter Bob Grotz and voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, Merrill Reese.
Thank you very much and welcome. We are at Chickies and Pete's in the Parks Casino. Great to be with you on this Tuesday night. The football season is over for the Eagles, but there is still one big game left. Our guest tonight is one of my favorite people in the world. He is somebody who knows as much or more about Eagles football than anybody.
Walking encyclopedia.
Well, he's been there for a long time, and he's very much on the inside of things, and yet keeps his objectivity. How about a nice welcome for Dave Spadaro?
Merrill, thank you very much.
Thank you, David.
My honor to be here.
No, it's great to have you here. It's tough to see a season come to an end the way this one did.
I mean, it's historic. We were 10-1, this football team, and you know it's funny. You think about that moment, and Jalen Hurts, a 12-yard direct snap, run into the end zone in overtime to beat the Buffalo Bills, to reach 10-1, and you go, okay, well the Eagles haven't played their best football yet, but that's going to come.
Yeah.
This is a veteran team. They know how to turn it on. They'll get ready. They'll play their best football in the playoffs, and lo and behold, here we are, 2 weekends without Eagles football, and it's been very difficult to take.
Did you sense that at all? There were people who say, looking back, the Eagles were struggling to win some games that they were supposed to have breezed through. Did you? I didn't sense anything. I just thought they're a resilient team and they know how to win.
No, I didn't sense anything, but there is a precedent here. And 1980, the Eagles go to the Super Bowl, and they lose to the Oakland Raiders 27-10. They came back in 1981, a veteran team, a team expected to not only get to the Super Bowl but win it. And with the experience they had gained the previous season, they started 6-0. They were 9-2. They lost 4 straight games. They won 1 game at the end of the regular season. To get into the playoffs, they lost to the Giants. And so I thought, gosh, this team has so much late game know-how.
Yeah.
They have a quarterback who's just going to find a way to win. So I felt it would be a struggle in that gauntlet of the schedule, that portion. I certainly didn't think once they got through that they would lose to the Cardinals and the Giants and then get humiliated and dominated by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. No, I did not see it coming, particularly, Merrill, the defensive side of the football where the Eagles just didn't show up.
Yeah. The loss to San Francisco was a bad loss.
Understandable, though.
And they came back. They came out of that game like a house on fire.
Yeah.
I mean, they marched, and then get stopped for a field goal. All right, so that first defensive series against, I think late in the first quarter, San Francisco had -6 yards rushing. And the Eagles came right down again, but couldn't get into the end zone. Again, a field goal, and that was it. The rest was all San Francisco, 100%.
It makes me think, guys, that, first of all, within a game, momentum is so important in the NFL, right? Like, if you seize momentum and sustain it, you really can take over a football game. And then in the course of the season, I mean, we hadn't seen anything like this since 1994, when Rich Kotite's Eagles were 7-2 and lost their last 7 games of the regular season. And so you think, gosh, there's this momentum that happens the other way during the course of a season. I expected leadership to step up. I expected coaching to step up. It didn't happen, and the Eagles spiraled downhill. And here we are in an off-season where last year, 12 months ago, the euphoria in this area as the Eagles prepared to play the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and now we're preparing for the Chiefs again, and the San Francisco 49ers and the Eagles are rounding out a new-look coaching staff.
Yeah.
The way that they finished, Dave, losing 5 of the last 6.
6 of the last 7.
Well, 5
including the playoffs.
in the regular season. But the mistakes that they made, so fundamental, not even getting lined up right, not being ready at the snap, the defense. And the offense as well. Some of the turnovers, some of those screen passes that you could see all the way from Camden, like it was so predictable. I had never seen anything like that since Doug Peterson's last year,
Yeah, well, I mean, and it's shocking. And
totally disorganized.
And you wonder why it happened. And look, I've always taken the approach that I know it's very disappointing. I don't wallow in the losses. I mean, it's been a couple of weeks here, and in the building in the NovaCare complex, we always tend to look ahead.
Yeah.
But you certainly wonder what happened then. How do the Eagles reverse that moving into 2024? Because it was deeper than Matt Patricia and the X's and O's and Brian Johnson
but that was
in the
a
red
factor.
zone.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah, that was a factor.
Whatever
change of coordinators.
But when you have a culture that has been so steeped in winning, how do you let that happen?
Well, here's something that I want. When you use the word wallow, I think there was one loss that was worthy of being wallowed, and that was the loss in Seattle. When the Eagles in control of that game, they had the Seahawks back on their 8-yard line with 1 minute and 42 seconds to go and only one timeout, and the backup Drew Lockett quarterback, and they let that get away.
Merrill, though, a team that is supposed to have such we had spoken nothing but great things about the mental strength of this football team, right? All the comeback wins that led to 10-1, and then to have it just disappear after the beatdown by the Niners and then that loss. It makes you wonder how you get out of that. How do you reverse that kind? When you are a team that has Lane Johnson and Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelsey and all these guys who have been down these roads before, to let this happen to this football team, it defies any sort of explanation. I can't tell you 1, 2, 3, 4 things that went wrong that can be fixed like that for 2024. But I agree with you. That loss was a heartbreaking, defining, almost will-breaking loss. They didn't come back with any fire at all after that loss.
None. You know what got
barely
me?
Beating the Giants.
Well, they barely beat the Giants, and then they led Arizona 21-6 at halftime, and that was amazing because Arizona never had to punt.
Never had to punt. They threw the one interception when Kyler Murray overthrew the receiver, and Sidney Brown made the interception and long 99-yard return for the touchdown. But, yeah, and then to have Arizona just waltz down the field at the very end. Again, heartbreaking for a team that defensively had started the season so well. And then you get to the playoffs, and, well, look, the last game of the regular season, abomination. But to get to the playoffs, a team that you dominated in Tampa in Week 3, and you came out of that Week 3 thinking, hey, the Eagles are going to be pretty good here.
They're pretty good.
25-11 victory. They can run the football on anybody. The defense is getting better and better. And then to lose 32-9, to not even put up a fight.
Well, how about the game against Miami? I mean, that Miami was the high-scoring team. That was one we all knew was a dangerous game, and the Eagles played beautifully in that game.
Beautifully in that game. They controlled the football. They scored late in the first half. They dominated the second half.
Yeah.
They made adjustments at halftime. We talked all in that 10-1 start how many times the coaching staff made critical adjustments at halftime.
Yeah.
Eagles win, find a way, come back and win down the stretch. Woohoo! Merrill, Nick Sirianni has a lot of work to do with new coaches around him. The culture has to be redefined in that locker room. Jalen Hurts has to find himself again. And
I think he will.
I think he will. And I think there are a lot of reasons to be optimistic. I just, you still, when you really think about the end of the season, you're kind of in this state of shock, to borrow a Merrill Reese term. I mean, it's stunning that when I think about it, that it actually happened.
Bob, you know when I knew they were sunk? When in the last game of the season, I was an advocate of playing the regulars because I said this team has to play well for a half, then take them out and show that they can play well and be ready for the playoffs. And at the end of the first half, they trailed the Giants 24-0. They weren't bad. They were a notch beyond bad. They were embarrassing. They were so totally out of it. And they lost that game. Now, we went to Tampa Bay.
And they lost A.J. Brown. And
they lost
and
A.J.
the quarterback had
So we go to Tampa Bay, and Dave does a great job when they take out the marketing guest to a top-class restaurant, and Dave MCs a show, a little discussion before.
You didn't go to Frenchie's, did you?
No, then we went to a place called the Meat Market, where I had a lobster tail. But anyhow, we go to the Meat Market, and you introduced Howard Eskin, our sideline reporter, and Mike Quick and me. And Howard gets up, as he usually does, telling everybody about the lines and how the Eagles are going to bury the Bucs. There's no question about it. Mike got up, and I have a lot of faith in Mike and a lot of respect for his great knowledge as a player and as an analyst. And Mike said, you know what? I went to practice last Thursday, and I saw this team show something they haven't shown in a while. They were on fire, and Hurts was perfect on every throw. And you could just see that the spunk, the energy was back. He said, I have a good feeling about this game. And I said, I have been an Eagles fan since I was born. I want this team to win, but I can't tell you that I think they will. I'm not predicting a loss, but I don't feel confident that this team has what it takes to win tomorrow. I said, I'm from Missouri. They're going to have to show me. And what they showed us was that the past 7 weeks were not a mirage.
So what happened between Thursday at the NovaCare complex when they all had the energy and they talked it up? They were going to run the rock. They were going to pound it. They were going to be physical. They were going to execute. This was going to be the real Philadelphia Eagles.
Right.
And Monday night.
But to quote that great philosopher, Allen Iverson, practice?
Yeah.
Practice? We're talking about practice?
Yeah.
I like the Bucs game plan, too. I mean, they blitzed the quarterback.
But everybody knew they were going to do that, Bob.
Yeah,
they had blitzed
was
the third highest rate in the NFL.
It was so effective, though.
Yeah, but why?
It looked like the Eagles never saw a blitz.
Exactly.
I mean,
But
exactly.
no. They had seen blitzes. They just never stopped the blitz.
Yeah.
I mean, why was this team so inept at stopping something as basic as a blitz? Do you have a theory?
Clearly, there was a disconnect between how they prepared and what they saw on
and
game day.
AJ wasn't there either.
AJ wasn't there. Was a big loss.
Helped,
there was a big loss. But you are taught during the week that here are your hot reads when there are blitzes coming from certain parts of the field, and they just did not adjust. Now, is that Jalen Hurts not communicating?
Yeah.
No, Jalen Hurts not communicating. Was he not given that information prior to the game? I find that very difficult to believe. Were the Bucs just really, really good? I mean, Merrill,
they were really effective. I'll give you that.
This is a team that killed the blitz in 2022, and they killed them with either Jalen running the football, or the Eagles running quick hitters, or throwing it down the field, picking up the blitz, giving him time, exposing one-on-one coverage down the field. And all of a sudden, the Eagles had no answers for that.
Which brings us to this, too. Was his knee bothering him?
No.
He got hurt earlier in the year, and I don't think he was running as effectively.
He was never on the injury list, Bob.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
true.
I mean, you in the NFL, you cannot fudge that stuff. So, Jalen played uninspired football. He looked slow. Decision-making was poor. And everyone followed suit. And I'm not blaming Jalen, but certainly everybody everybody shares in the blame here. And it will be really interesting to see how they put the pieces of Humpty Dumpty back together.
It's going to be fascinating.
Fascinating.
Really.
And
that's
there's
really
a lot
difficult.
on the line for the Eagles moving forward here. I still believe, as I watched the playoffs after the Eagles were eliminated, that Philadelphia, had they played their game, the best that this team could have been, would have been right there in the NFC Championship game.
I think so.
So
I really do, but not by the end of the season. They were a different team. They were a different team. They were below the sum of their parts.
And how did that? And you sit here and we talk. We can go back and forth and throw around ideas of why. And guess what?
I think
probably nobody's wrong.
Yeah, I think
probably
that the
nobody's
Desai,
wrong.
I think that thing had a big. That was a big factor.
Sure,
Sean
with the
Desai.
defense, yes.
Because I even go back to that Seattle game, and I wonder, if they hadn't have made that move, do they win that game? I mean, they looked really
Hypothetical
disorganized in that
questions.
mess.
Who
Yeah,
knows?
exactly. Yeah, I mean, and you can't do anything about it.
You
knows?
don't know. But
Yeah.
but you do know it ended as disappointingly as any Eagles season.
In your years, was that the most disappointing
Yes.
ending?
Yes, because the Kotite thing wasn't really disappointing that much because when he had won those 7 games, Jeffrey Lurie was in his first year as the owner, and the media came to Rich Kotite and they wanted to know if he had gotten the vote of confidence from the owner, and Rich Kotite's response was, "I'll let my record speak for itself."
Yeah.
And they never won again.
And he said, I have some options too,
Well, whatever.
Yeah.
But that was it. And I knew this was a bad team. And most of us knew that Rich Kotite was on the way out. Owners don't tolerate losing from previous administration's coaches. And you knew that Rich was on the way out. And, of course, that paved the way for the great hiring of first Ray Rhodes. And Ray got off to a great start.
Didn't have a quarterback though.
No.
The Detmer, Bobby Hoying, Rodney Peete experiment.
Coy Detmer.
Coy Detmer just didn't work.
AJ Feely.
AJ. Well, no, AJ was Andy.
Yeah,
Andy.
AJ.
Yeah, he came later. Yeah. But
yeah.
no, you did not have a franchise quarterback. But Ray came right in, and they won that first year. And they
Playoffs first 2 years.
I
yeah.
will never forget that first year when they were going to play the Lions, and they went down to work out, and they came back and they absolutely buried the
I
Lions.
think
And
that
name-
was
name
after.
the-
Wasn't
name
that
the-
after
name-
the Lions?
Yeah, it was after the Lions. Name
After
the
the
player,
Lions,
the Lions player who guaranteed a victory.
Lomas Brown.
yeah.
Offensive
and
lineman
everybody
Lomas Brown.
started yelling,
Yep.
Lomas,
Yeah,
Lomas.
yeah.
Now, who can tell me?
What a crazy game.
Who can tell me Rodney Peete, right at seconds before halftime, threw a Hail Mary to
Rob Carpenter.
out of...
Syracuse?
Yes.
Wow, I pulled that one out.
And the draft pick of the
The encyclopedia.
Detroit Lions.
The
no?
New York Jets.
New York Jets, okay.
New York Jets.
The things
But
you remember, Merrill.
I remember Rob Carpenter catching that pass, and the place went nuts, and the Eagles won some. Eagles scored over 50 points in that game, I think.
Yeah, they won 58-27, something crazy. 30.
What Lions wide receiver broke his leg in the game? And he had caught like almost 100 passes. Remember they had a threesome? I remember this because I saw
Perryman?
him on the elevator. Yeah.
Yeah,
Brett Perryman.
Brett Perryman.
from
yeah.
University of Miami.
Yeah.
Fred Perryman.
He was on the elevator in a cast.
And who was the Lions quarterback?
Scott. It wasn't Scott Mitchell.
Yes, it
Yes,
was.
Scott Mitchell.
Yeah.
It
Scott
was
Mitchell.
Scott Mitchell.
I don't think he finished the game though.
Well, he
Yeah,
might not
okay.
have. I don't think he wanted to. All right, we're going to be back with Dave Spadaro right after this.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's, your home away from home for the pro football playoffs. Nobody does playoff watch parties better than Chickies and Pete's. Come for the best in-game experience and join the best fans in the world for the playoffs. Enjoy all your Chicky and Pete's game day favorites with daily ice-cold draft beer specials and our seasonal cocktails. Plus the unbeatable combination of playoff football and Chicky and Pete's world-famous crab fries. It's game time, only at Chickies and Pete's.
This is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. And here's the pitch. BCWSA water and sewer customers, you have a new and improved option to pay your bill that's convenient, reliable, and secure. Powered by Invoice Cloud, you can pay your bill 24/7 online, pay by text or phone, or sign up for AutoPay to avoid fees for late or missed payments. Visit bcwsa.net to sign up or for more info. That's bcwsa.net. BCWSA, proven.
Bringing in your front line is as easy as 1, 2, key. SEPTA Key Advantage is a unique and valuable transit benefit program that gives your employees all-day, everyday access to the entire SEPTA system. That means your staff can get in for their first, second, or third shifts and even travel the system on their off hours, seamlessly and affordably, all thanks to you. Learn how easy it is to customize a SEPTA Key Advantage program for your team at SEPTA.org/partner programs. That's SEPTA.org/partner programs.
At Penn Community Bank, we're not just your bankers, we're your neighbors. That comes in handy when you're purchasing your first place, refinancing an existing mortgage, buying a second home or investment property, or looking to tap into your home's equity. Whatever your situation, we pair the latest products, services, and technology that you need with the experienced banking professionals you want. Visit penncommunitybank.com or stop by your local branch to find out how we can make your family's growth personal. Penn Community Bank. Here we are and here we grow. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
A flawless occasion begins at the Capitol Grill. From the moment you step into the Capitol Grill, located in the heart of Center City, the experience is one of comfortable elegance. Whether you're looking to host a private affair, a perfect lunch stop, or dinner destination, start your occasion at the Capitol Grill today. Visit thecapitolgrill.com or call 215-545-9588. That's 215-545-9588 for the Capitol Grill, Center City.
Hi, it's Merrill. Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa is here to help you distress after the game. Visit them to restore, relax, or refresh with a much-needed massage or facial for an introductory price starting at just $79.95. They offer an abundance of facial and massage services. Visit any one of their 60 spas in Delaware, South Jersey, and Philadelphia, including the Lehigh Valley, or go to handandstone.com. Restrictions apply. See spa for details.
Planning to go to the game? Give LimoToday.com a call. You'll get to the game and back safely and in style. Why worry about the traffic and parking when you can relax and let LimoToday.com do the driving for you and your friends? And if you book a 5-hour trip with LimoToday.com, you'll get the 6-hour free. From sedans to minibuses to vans and stretch limos, let LimoToday.com get you to the game. Give them a call at 1-866-LIMO-TODAY. That's 1-866-LIMO-TODAY.
Your day-to-day life is hectic between having to pick up the kids, make dinner, the countless other tasks that you got to get done. Rob's Automotive and Collision is there to make your life a whole lot easier. Make sure you take advantage of their spacious waiting rooms, the large flat-screen TVs, complimentary coffee and muffins, and free Wi-Fi. So even when you do have to stop, Rob's is there to make you feel right at home. Give Rob's a call today at 215-826-9200 for any of your auto repair needs.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA. Once again, here's your host, Delaware County Times Birds reporter Bob Grotz, and voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, Merrill Reese.
And back we are here at Chickies and Pete's in the Parks Casino in Ben Salem, and Merrill Reese, Dave Spadaro, and of course Bob Grotz. Dave, we've talked about and we've hashed over the sad facts, the falling apart of this team in the 2023 season, but that is gone.
Yes.
And they have made already some big moves.
Yeah, obviously, no, it's interesting, Merrill. You bring in a veteran defensive coordinator in Vic Fangio. We'll talk. I think we should talk in depth about what to expect from him.
I like him. I think he's a great get.
Kellen Moore is a young, rising, innovative mind at offensive coordinator.
Yes.
And I'm really interested to hear what you guys think about both of them. I will tell you that, look, these are two experienced coordinators. Last year, the Eagles going into the season with Sean Desai, no slight to Sean, but very little experience as a coordinator. Brian Johnson, first-time NFL offensive coordinator. And again, the beginning of the season was really promising. I think, though, you need to change direction. And I think with Vic Fangio, it is a no-nonsense. This is going to be a different kind of offense. I know his scheme is very similar to JG, Jonathan Gannon, but I think there will be wrinkles. I think he will take advantage of the personnel the Eagles have, which starts on the defensive line. I'm not sure what comes back throughout the rest of the defense, so we'll see how they fill in at linebacker, how they remake the secondary. I think offensively, it's really important that Kellen Moore takes advantage of what Jalen Hurts can do. Get him under center more motion, get his running, the threat of him running. Look, one of the statistics that people don't really talk about, he averaged 4.6 yards per carry in 2022, 3.9 yards per carry last season. Had some success, but I never felt he was the dynamic running threat that, teams kind of figured it out.
But you know what, Dave? I thought some of that was by design. And first of all, let me say something about Brian Johnson, who I have a lot of respect for. There was one point at a press conference, at a news conference, where someone was complaining about the direction of the defense, the offense, and Nick Sirianni said, and I'm almost quoting this, Nick Sirianni said, "This is my offense."
Yes.
He said, "Brian Johnson is running my offense. I designed this offense. So if there's a problem, it's on me." Well,
at the press conference after the season, he said, "This is going to be our offense, and we're going to take some of the concepts that worked in recent years and blend them with whomever the new coordinator will be." And it turns out that it's Kellen Moore. I don't think they took advantage of things that they had. I just didn't feel that Jalen was as dynamic and as threatening to defenses. There wasn't any imaginative. I never felt that there was an identity with this offense. I didn't think they were as physical as they had been in the past. I didn't think that they were as threatening in the red zone. They didn't run the ball as well in the red zone.
But was he told not to be that way? Because I noticed he was a lot more careful when he ran. He was very careful to slide down. I think a lot of times in 2022, he threw caution to the wind, and they were worried about losing him.
I don't know. I don't know if he was told to be more careful. I just know that he was. I felt that the adjustment that teams made defensively against the Eagles from 2022 to 2023, they came in and they said, the first thing we're going to do is take away Jalen's run game.
Yeah.
And they did that with some soft zone. They did that with some mush rush like San Francisco did. They did that with the blitz. And the Eagles just didn't have any answers. So hopefully Kellen Moore, who's had some great success in Dallas and then with the Chargers last year until a spate of injuries, including Justin Herbert, happened. Through week 5, I think Herbert had the number 3 passer rating, and they were 5th in the league in scoring
And then
points.
he got hurt. But do you remember what Mike McCarthy said about Kellen Moore when he let him go? His words were, Kellen Moore was too preoccupied with lighting up the scoreboard. And that, I thought, isn't that what an offensive coach is supposed to do? Light up the scoreboard? He wanted more of an emphasis on a running game and giving the defense more of a rest. But if you want a great offensive coordinator, you want somebody who is consumed with putting points on the board.
But let's be honest. Look at the difference between McCarthy this year and Kellen Moore the previous year. The quarterback, Dak Prescott, he threw for, I think it was 36 touchdowns this year. And the previous year, it was in the low 20s, I think.
But they're all
the interceptions were down.
They're a mess right now.
Yeah,
Dak Prescott isn't happy, and
that was the other thing.
C.D. Lamb's mother says that they want him traded.
Well, Bob, to answer that, so in 2021, they led the league in scoring. In 2022, they were 4th in the league in scoring, the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Well,
so I feel like they had a really good balance.
Yeah, and the other thing is, too, Dak, in those years, in 2020 he got hurt. He got hurt in 2021. In 2022, did he play all 17?
No, I think he got hurt in that early on.
Yeah, he got hurt then too.
And that's the other thing.
And by the way,
I was telling Merrill about this because I
don't buy your theory at all.
He doesn't buy it.
Way off.
But the same thing with Herbert out in with the Chargers.
Kellen Moore didn't trip him.
Okay, but just a minute.
Wait, what's your theory? I want to hear the theory.
My theory
is Kellen Moore gets quarterbacks
his
hurt.
Offense exposes
which
the
is
quarterbacks
one of the dumber
more
things
contact.
he's ever said.
Now,
and that's got some competition.
he had never been hurt.
Bobby says some remarkable things.
It's good. It's an interesting perspective.
It is because
I don't buy it.
Well, Herbert had started every game.
I don't even
he hadn't missed any games
he got
because
hurt
of injury.
In the pocket or out of the pocket?
He had 2 injuries, hand injuries.
Well, look, I will say this. Speaking of, I think that the Eagles' most important job in 2024 is to restore Jalen Hurts to the level of most valuable player.
And they will.
And one of the keys with that will be he cannot give the football away as he did this past season. 2 years ago, he had 8 giveaways. This year he had 20 giveaways, and that has to revert back to 2022. So how is that happen? Does it happen from, is it confidence from Jalen? Is it giving him safe throws? Incorporating running backs into the passing game, which we have not seen. Incorporating a successful screen game into this offense.
Well, Kellen Moore,
which we have not seen,
does a lot of screens.
So it's a lot of screens, does a lot of motion, gets the quarterback out of the pocket. We'll have him also lined up under center rather than being in the shotgun exclusively. These are things that I'm looking forward to.
You know, the first thing I did Sunday morning was call my friend Brad Sham, who is the Cowboys play-by-play voice for the last 45 years. And Brad Sham said to me, he is a great coach. He said he's a great guy. He said he's a great coach. Don't look for him to tell you a lot of inside stuff because he's very guarded with his formulas. But he said he is a terrific young coach. My only fear about Kellen Moore is that he's going to be so good that he'll be snapped up in a year or so as somebody's head coach.
Well, let's hope so. I mean,
yeah,
let's hope that is a
good
problem to have. And but here's the little word of just kind of keep this nugget. This is the fourth offensive coordinator for Jalen Hurts in 5 seasons, and the only years that he had back-to-back same coordinator, 2021, and then his MVP season of 2022 when the Eagles go to the Super Bowl. And I think that's really important. We heard all about it from high school all the way through college. Jalen never had back-to-back same offensive coordinators.
That's true.
And that really does matter for a quarterback.
Well, yeah. I think it'll help, too, that Kellen Moore, he only played a couple of games. I think it was a broken leg. He played for the Cowboys. He only played a couple of games, and just that experience, though, of
he
training
played
camp.
Some games for the Lions, too.
Yeah, well, I mean...
He was a backup for 2 years
that
in
NFL
Detroit.
experience, that's got to help.
Oh, I think it's big.
And I'll tell you another thing, too. Like, the guy that's really going to like this offense is A.J. Brown, because they threw it almost exclusively to Keenan Allen last year. I mean, bang, bang, bang. So he's going to like that.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with Dave Spadaro right after this.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Our seasonal menu items are now available at all Chicky and Pete's locations. Enjoy our pork belly tacos or share a plate of South Philly crab fries featuring our world-famous crab fries and cheese sauce, topped with porchetta-style pork belly, fried onion, and shaved provolone. Don't miss our specialty cocktails, like the stateside mint chocotini or our cranberry margarita. Details at chickiesandpete's.com. Chickies and Pete's.
BCWSA customers, former Phillies pitcher Tommy Green here. I played on the 1993 National League champs, so I know a thing or two about what it's like playing on a winning team. BCWSA has all the ingredients. They make it easy for their customers to get automatic updates by text, email, or phone anytime there is a disruption in your service area. You can even customize your alerts by going to bcwsa.net. That's bcwsa.net. BCWSA, your partner for a safer environment. BCWSA, proven.
When an Eagles player gets hurt, the team takes care of him. When you get hurt, the attorneys at Begley, Carlin, and Mandio will take care of you. They understand that a severe accident can be a life-altering event. You need a reliable teammate to fight for you. The attorneys at Begley, Carlin, and Mandio will get you great results. And if there's no recovery, there's no fee. Contact them today at 215-750-0110 for a free consultation. 215-750-0110 for a reliable ally that's on your side.
At Penn Community Bank, we're not just your bankers, we're your neighbors. That comes in handy when you're purchasing your first place, refinancing an existing mortgage, buying a second home or investment property, or looking to tap into your home's equity. Whatever your situation, we pair the latest products, services, and technology that you need with the experienced banking professionals you want. Visit penncommunitybank.com or stop by your local branch to find out how we can make your family's growth personal. Penn Community Bank. Here we are and here we grow. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
A flawless occasion begins at the Capitol Grill. From the moment you step into the Capitol Grill, located in the heart of Center City, the experience is one of comfortable elegance. Whether you're looking to host a private affair, a perfect lunch stop, or dinner destination, start your occasion at the Capitol Grill today. Visit thecapitalgrill.com or call 215-545-9588. That's 215-545-9588 for the Capital Grill, Center City.
Hi, it's Merrill. Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa is here to help you distress after the game. Visit them to restore, relax, or refresh with a much-needed massage or facial for an introductory price starting at just $79.95. They offer an abundance of facial and massage services. Visit any one of their 60 spas in Delaware, South Jersey, and Philadelphia, including the Lehigh Valley, or go to handandstone.com. Restrictions apply. See spa for details.
Planning to go to the game? Give LimoToday.com a call. You'll get to the game and back safely and in style. Why worry about the traffic and parking when you can relax and let LimoToday.com do the driving for you and your friends? And if you book a 5-hour trip with LimoToday.com, you'll get the 6-hour free. From sedans to minibuses to vans and stretch limos, let LimoToday.com get you to the game. Give them a call at 1-866-LIMO-TODAY. That's 1-866-LIMO-TODAY.
Your day-to-day life is hectic between having to pick up the kids, make dinner, the countless other tasks that you got to get done. Rob's Automotive and Collision is there to make your life a whole lot easier. Make sure you take advantage of their spacious waiting rooms, the large flat-screen TVs, complimentary coffee and muffins, and free Wi-Fi. So even when you do have to stop, Rob's is there to make you feel right at home. Give Rob's a call today at 215-826-9200 for any of your auto repair needs.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA. Once again, here's your host, Delaware County Times Birds reporter Bob Grotz, and voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, Merrill Reese.
And it is time now for this week's injury report, brought to you by attorneys at Bagley, Carlin, and Mandio. Contact them today for a free consultation at 215-806-3689. That is 215-806-3689. Bobby?
I better give him a call right now. Yeah, I got some legal stuff to take care of.
I'm sure you
I'm
do.
Just kidding.
A trail of legal tears.
But let's talk about Vic Fangio.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is a great get because this is a guy, and I know you're not going to like this because you think Jim Johnson is the best ever, and he might have been, the late Jim Johnson, but he reminds me of Jim Johnson, the way that everything I've read about him, the way he teaches, it's not just accountability. Vic Fangio is one of those guys that says, hey, Reed Blankenship, to beat this team, we need you to do this. Can I count on you? And he gives him, it's like a project during the week. I don't know what Sean Desai was like or Matt Patricia, but this is a guy that gets guys to buy in through and not just communication, through passion. I think this is a great get, and I like his scheme too. I know people are criticizing the 3-4, and I heard people say he doesn't blitz. Do you see how often he blitzed with Miami against Kansas City?
Look, what they did with Miami, they were an outstanding defense, and then they lost all of their edge rushers.
They lost 6 starters for the divisional game.
And I mean, look, his track record is amazing. 37 years of coaching in the league, and the Associated Press Assistant Coach of the Year in 2019 with Chicago. Old school approach is what is interesting to me, and I think it's kind of what you're saying as well.
But it's not like he can't text,
no, but in a new school league, an old school approach is actually exactly what I think the Eagles defense needs. I think they need toughness. I think they need discipline. I think they need accountability.
They do.
These are things that I didn't see at the end of the season.
Yeah, and I think he'll be very, very good. Comparing him to Jim Johnson is a little bit premature right now, but Jim Johnson was a great one, and the greatest I ever saw in my lifetime was Bud Carson.
Absolutely.
Bud Carson was the architect of the Steel Curtain. Bud Carson in 1991 had the Eagles first against the run, first against the pass, and first overall. I never saw anything like
it. Never
Bud
happened.
Carson.
Yeah, that was the first time it had ever happened. And Bud did it by really playing to the strength of his players. So that leads us to the defense and the personnel. And as you look, guys, at the roster as it ended the season, who do you count on coming back?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of changes there. But that's another thing that Fangio does, too. he plays to the. I mean, everybody tries to play to the strengths.
Dave, why
he gets them to play to the
why,
strengths?
in your opinion, and you've seen a lot of camps and a lot of training and a lot of practices, why, in your opinion, did this defense wear out, the defensive front, where Jordan Davis was a shadow of what he was earlier in the season, where Jalen Carter, in many cases, was a non-factor?
Well, I mean, look, I think they didn't continue to evolve in a scheme, number one. They had a disruptive coaching situation with Matt Patricia taking over for Sean Desai. They didn't tackle in practice. They didn't really practice that much, let's be honest.
No.
And I think that catches up to you. And to think that...
Well, that, by the way, will that be Nick's call? How much they practice? What they practice?
I would think so. I would think so. And I would think that would be something he would consider changing. But, like, normally the week was Wednesday was a walkthrough, Thursday was a practice, Friday was a red zone practice, and then Saturday was a walkthrough. And if you're trying to change up the defense, how do you practice that? How do you learn
did it
that
with
during
pads.
the course of the week?
Remember, he put the pads on twice or three times late in the year.
Yeah, but I don't think that they weren't like
For the
tackling.
Thursdays,
They weren't
yeah.
tackling. They were kind of walk-through-y practices.
I'm not saying everybody has to take the Dan Campbell approach, but I'm sure you saw Hard Knocks, and you probably saw the film clip or the tape clip of Dan Campbell talking to his team and saying, listen, we're not going to hit every day, but we're going to be out there at least every 3 or 4 days, and it's not because I want to get you hurt, because research shows that if you have some physical contact, it's going to keep you safer than avoiding it altogether. He said, I want to do this for you, to make you better football players. He was very, very tough. And with that approach, the Detroit Lions in 2 years did a 180.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a tale of two seasons. In 2022, the Eagles had that exact same approach as they had in 2023. But in 2022, they stayed healthy all the way through. They played very good defense. They had a great pass rush. I mean, look, from a schematic standpoint, from a production standpoint, the defensive line just did not get home in 2023, and that impacted everything else. What I couldn't understand is how a run defense that through the first 7, 8, 9 weeks of the season ranked number 1 in the NFL.
Yeah, was so good.
All of a sudden, couldn't stop the run.
No.
Did you lose your physical edge? Look, the Eagles for 2 years under Nick in 2020 and 2021 and 2022, going back to something I said earlier, the identity of this team, and notwithstanding the superlatives of Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and all the superstars, they were physical. They were more physical on the offensive line, and they were more physical on the defensive line. And as the Eagles faltered down the stretch in 2023, I didn't see a physical football team, a team that was more physical than the team that was playing. Where that went, I do not know.
The Eagles get a great deal of criticism from the fans and the talk shows and the media for their, quote, inattention to the linebacker position. Do they ignore the linebacker position? Do you feel they put enough emphasis on the LBs?
Yeah, I mean, look, I understand that everybody wants a first-round pick at linebacker, and maybe as you see the NFL game and the way it evolves, you look in that direction. How many first-round picks have the 49ers spent on their linebackers, Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner? I don't even know where they were drafted.
No, they were not first-rounders.
They've used third-round picks on Davion Taylor. And
of course, they do have Bosa.
They have Bosa. They have Armstead. They have Chase Young now. They've got Javon Hargrave.
Right.
But that's the formula that the Eagles have: build from the lines out. I think if Nakobe Dean had in his second season been the player the Eagles expected him to be, I think it would have been a lot different. Davion Taylor didn't pan out, third-round draft pick. So there's 2 third-round picks right there. Have they paid enough attention to it? Clearly, it didn't work this year. So, you'd have to maybe think of a different approach, or you can't piecemeal things. You need to draft, build, develop, have continuity, build chemistry. And I think they still believe that Nakobe can come back healthy and be a factor. But after 2 foot injuries, you certainly are worried about that. You worry about that kind of injury.
There is a kid, a young player in the draft, maybe first round, could be available at 22, at a Clemson with the last name of Trotter. Would he interest you?
Well, I've not seen Trotter play, so I always resist doing that kind of projection. But I certainly think that the defensive side of the ball needs to be addressed a lot. And I would not, if the Eagles value him and give him that kind of a grade, I would not shy away from a linebacker in round 1. Because I think the front, you've got something to work with.
Yes.
With the 2 kids from Georgia, with Milton Williams, with some good, 4th and 5th defensive tackles. Brandon Graham, is he coming back? Josh Sweat, you need to unlock him. Hassan Reddick off the edge, you need to get him more productive down the stretch. Nolan Smith showed you something later in the season that he could really develop into something off the edge. So I am not opposed to a linebacker. I'm not opposed to a cornerback. And Merrill, after watching the way Kyle Hamilton played and Bob in the playoffs,
he was
I'm not opposed to a guy like that.
And all of their linebackers.
I remember how Jim Johnson used Brian Dawkins. It was very similar to the way Baltimore uses Kyle Hamilton.
Yes. Well, they're great players.
We got to take a break. We'll come back for. Let's take a break.
Okay, we'll take a break, and then we'll come back.
Pendler Financial Keys
all
to the
right,
game.
Back right after this.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's, official sports bar of your Philadelphia Eagles. Nobody does Flyers and Sixers watch parties better than Chickies and Pete's. Come for the best in-game experience and join the best fans in the world for all the hockey and basketball action. Enjoy all your Chicky and Pete's game day favorites with daily ice-cold draft beer specials and our seasonal cocktails. And of course, the unbeatable combination of Philly sports and Chickies and Pete's world-famous crab fries. It's game time only at Chickies and Pete's.
This is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. And here's the pitch. BCWSA water and sewer customers, you have a new and improved option to pay your bill that's convenient, reliable, and secure. Powered by Invoice Cloud, you can pay your bill 24/7 online, pay by text or phone, or sign up for autopay to avoid fees for late or missed payments. Visit bcwsa.net to sign up or for more info. That's bcwsa.net. BCWSA, proven.
Ventresca Limited, the Delaware Valley men's store, is located in historic Doylestown. For casual clothing in denim to business suits and tuxedos, Ventresca Limited has a large selection you have to see to believe. The experienced and knowledgeable sales staff can show you the many brand labels that have made Ventresca Limited in Doylestown a must for men concerned about their image. Select from Canali, Brax Jeans, Hickey Freeman, Johnson Murphy Footwear, and much more. Custom alterations are free. Visit Ventresca Limited on the web at ventresca.com.
A flawless occasion begins at the Capitol Grill. From the moment you step into the Capitol Grill, located in the heart of Center City, the experience is one of comfortable elegance. Whether you're looking to host a private affair, a perfect lunch stop, or dinner destination, start your occasion at the Capitol Grill today. Visit thecapitolgrill.com or call 215-545-9588. That's 215-545-9588 for the Capitol Grill, Center City.
Hi, it's Merrill. Hand & Stone Massage and Facial Spa is here to help you distress after the game. Visit them to restore, relax, or refresh with a much-needed massage or facial for an introductory price starting at just $79.95. They offer an abundance of facial and massage services. Visit any one of their 60 spas in Delaware, South Jersey, and Philadelphia, including the Lehigh Valley, or go to handandstone.com. Restrictions apply. See spa for details.
Planning to go to the game? Give LimoToday.com a call. You'll get to the game and back safely and in style. Why worry about the traffic and parking when you can relax and let LimoToday.com do the driving for you and your friends? And if you book a 5-hour trip with LimoToday.com, you'll get the 6-hour free. From sedans to minibuses to vans and stretch limos, let LimoToday.com get you to the game. Give them a call at 1-866-LIMO-TODAY. That's 1-866-LIMO-TODAY.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA. Once again, here's your host, Delaware County Times Birds reporter Bob Grotz, and voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, Merrill Reese.
And back we are at Chickies and Pete's In the Parks Casino in Ben Salem, Dave Spadaro is with us. Dave, as we look at the Eagles, we know the way they finished. We know what their projections are for this year. But there are several guys you wonder about their Eagles' futures. One we talked about, Brandon Graham. It's one of my favorite people of all time. I mean, all time one of my favorite Eagles. Is he back?
You know, at the end of the season, he in that last day. So for those who don't know how it works is, you know, you come back when the season ends. Only one time in my life it's ended the right way. That's in your life, 2018. You come back, and the next day you clean out the lockers. It's a really, really tough day. Players then jettison off into an uncertain future. And Brandon was talking as if he had been invited back for a 15th year. Like, he expects to come back and play for year number 15.
Wow.
Amazing. So, at least it sounds like Brandon Graham comes back.
Nobody has ever done that, by the way.
Correct. Chuck Bednarik and he are the shareholders of longevity in terms of seasons with the Eagles.
That's amazing.
Yep.
All right, how about we thought it was originally reported that Jason Kelsey will hang it up. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he'll hang it up, but I'm just guessing on that.
I do too.
I think he's had an amazing. I actually my hot take is that both he and Travis will retire.
I
after
said
the
that
season.
too, and I got shot down by everybody.
There is. I don't see any reason why Travis Kelsey would come back for another season.
Yeah.
I know he can still play. I mean, what's he got? How's he going to top what he's accomplished here in 2023?
But you can say the same about Jason Kelsey.
For sure.
He is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He has taken such a
Is
pounding.
he a first ballot Hall of Famer? A center?
I think he is, yeah.
I think he's close.
And I think Travis is too.
Maybe. I mean, I think Travis is. I think it's a different position. But so there's only two centers who are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Is that right, or am I wrong?
No, I
it's
think it's more than
Webster,
that.
and
Mike Webster's in it.
and Damani Dawson.
Oh, there's
And
got to be
Stevenson,
more.
and Stevenson is in it
I
too.
have to check
From Miami. Dwight
Stevenson's gotta
Stevenson
be
in
in
it
it.
too.
I thought that Mick
Tinglehop.
Mick Tinglehop,
Of
he's
the
in it too.
Vikings. He's got to be in there.
I'd like to know if any of
Chuck
those.
Bednarik's in there.
Well, more as a
course,
linebacker.
The guy from
Yeah.
Pittsburgh too, Webster.
Well, we already said Webster.
Oh,
Right.
you
you
said
did.
Mike
Okay,
Webster.
all right.
But first ballot. No, I don't doubt that Jason goes to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I just don't know if it'll be first ballot. It so much depends upon who else is
But
on
he
the
is
ballot.
a Hall of Famer.
After
Hall of
taking his
Famer.
shirt off, Dave, he's first ballot.
Look,
yeah.
if the only thing he could have done better, Bob, is take his shirt off and chest bump Taylor Swift.
You're right.
Now that would have broken.
Oh, my.
The earth would have gone off
Yeah.
the axis if Taylor Swift and Jason Kelsey, without a shirt on, Jason Kelsey chest bumped.
Buffalo would have rocked into
All
the
right,
Niagara over the falls.
Let me give you another one. A guy who had a very, very, very good season, and that was DeAndre Swift. Is he back?
That's a great question. Look, the Eagles historically don't break the bank for running backs. What is DeAndre?
Somebody will break the bank for DeAndre Swift.
So my only thing about DeAndre Swift, I disagree. And here's my thing. I think he's a very fine player, but he's small, and he doesn't really break a lot of tackles. And I think running backs are, I hate to say it, a dime a dozen. Is Saquon Barkley, who's going to be a free agent, is anybody going to break the bank for Saquon Barkley? If you're going to break the bank, are you breaking the bank for Saquon Barkley or DeAndre Swift?
But you know what? They tend to undervalue linebackers. Running backs. But you look at the playoffs right now, and you see what Christian McCaffrey has meant to the 49ers.
And they're paying him a ton of money.
Yeah.
But look at Pacheco.
Pacheco on the other
Pacheco
side.
has been great.
Yeah. You break the bank.
He's not making a lot of money, yeah.
No.
You break the bank on the line of scrimmage. So I would say it's very...
Last year, the
very,
Lions.
Very 50-50 for DeAndre Swift.
Lions used
The
the
Lions
first-round draft pick.
Now that's
on
a good...
on a
yeah.
dynamic player.
Yeah.
A dynamic player. Who made
That's
a
an
difference for them.
excellent point.
Who else? Who else want to know?
All right, okay, I'll give you another one.
All right.
Hassan Reddick.
Oh, he's under contract.
He's
yeah.
under contract
Yeah.
for 1 year.
Yeah.
They drafted Nolan Smith last year. Reddick's production went down this year. Was that a product of the system and him dropping back into coverage?
That's part of it.
Part of it. What is Reddick looking for? He certainly would like to be paid among the elite players.
I don't think he's in the top 10 right now, average salary.
Yeah,
Of the pass rushers.
I say Hassan comes back. I say he comes back and they find a way. Look, I'm not going to hire Vic Fangio and take pieces away from him. I want Vic Fangio to have success, so I say Hassan Reddick comes back.
Is Marcus Mariota back?
No.
As the backup.
Yeah,
No.
he's not. Yeah.
Is Tanner McKee ready to be a number 2?
I like him.
I think everybody likes him. He was good in the preseason. Showed some poise. Chaotic situation always. Threw 1 touchdown pass, 0 interceptions. 57% of his completions, passes completed, whatever it was. Is a young guy like that, are you ready to invest in him as your number 2 when he hasn't played in a regular season game?
You're in the middle of the third quarter of a tight game against the Dallas Cowboys late in the season, and Jalen goes out. Hopefully not a terrible injury, but he's out for a quarter. Is Tanner McKee, with no NFL game experience, ready to come in?
Probably not.
That's the question.
Probably not.
Fletcher Cox.
He's certainly
He had a good
he
season.
cleaned out his locker was empty when
It
everybody
was.
walked out of the.
I noticed that. Yeah. He took all his stuff.
That's kind of a clue to me.
Yeah.
Is
But
it?
I say he ends up
But
with
no word.
Schwartz.
But
Yeah.
no word.
But he is one who can certainly contribute.
Absolutely.
He is coming off a good season.
Played really well. I think, look, Fletcher's made a ton of money in his career. How much does he really want to lace it back up and play?
You think he might hang him up?
I think he might, yeah.
Okay.
Well, did I miss anybody? Well, one that won't be back is James Bradbury.
Oh, he's under contract. Yeah,
No,
I don't think you can cut him without a lot of dead money.
Yeah, I understand the performance part of it. Can you make him a safety?
I don't know about that.
Or the nickel back.
But
I don't think you can make him a nickel. I don't know if he can play, if he can run well enough anymore to be a cornerback in this league at a high level.
That's the
at
question.
that salary.
That's
but
the
as
question.
Bob said,
That's a real good
but as Bob said,
observation.
you've got there's dead money there. How
Yeah.
much can you? I don't really know what the Eagles' salary cap situation is, given the contract with Jalen.
Yeah.
How much flexibility do we have here?
But there are some great players or promising young players. I like Sidney Brown a lot. Yeah. And
how quickly does it come back from a torn ACL suffered in January?
We'll see. And I like Eli Ricks and I like Keely Ringo. I think these are guys who you should keep an eye on. It's time for this week's Penworth Financial Keys to the Game. The key to your financial future is Penworth Financial. Call them today at 267-997-4503 or visit penworth.com. So anyhow, we figured out the roster for now. But if you had your choice of saying all things being equal, what position would you choose somebody at in the first round?
Probably cornerback.
Yeah.
I think there's just such a difference to be made with a if you're saying I'm going to add a star player.
Yes.
I would either go defensive end or cornerback, but I would probably go cornerback. I think the need is really great there.
There's not a lot of great cornerbacks in this draft, though.
That's what they say.
Yeah. Is the last first round cornerback 2002 Lito Shepherd,
who made it with here? It was.
Well, that whole draft: Lito Shepherd, Sheldon Brown,
Michael Lewis,
and then Brian Westbrook.
2002.
That was a great draft.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about you?
I would think cornerback is certainly a consideration. I would think that linebacker, if there is somebody that good out there who is a difference maker, a Micah Parsons type, but a Micah Parsons type will never fall to 22.
There's a lot of offensive linemen in this draft.
Look, I mean, I
I
would tell you that that's a need too. Who's your backup right tackle?
Yeah.
There's age there. Lane Johnson goes into his 12th season. This offense crumbles when Lane is off the field.
Yeah, it does. It does.
But I'm not sure I'm going to use a first round pick.
Maybe you
on
can play him at another
Who
position.
wins the Super Bowl, guys? Give me let's or do you have a show next week?
I got it.
Yeah, I do. My
so
last show.
So I'm going to tell you that the Kansas City Chiefs and Taylor Swift will win the Super Bowl.
I think that the Kansas City Chiefs, with no contribution from Taylor Swift, win the Super Bowl. Bobby,
I just can't. I can't wrap
You
my.
can answer next week.
Right now the Chiefs, but there's something really fishy about the defending champs being underdogs.
Okay.
Andy Reid underdog against.
Dave, you are a wonderful guest.
Guys, thank you so much for having me.
Despite his interruptions.
It's always an honor to sit next to
Patrick
Merrill and Bob.
Mahomes underdog against Brock Purdy.
Chris Hermer is our executive producer, Jules Quinones. So from all of us, we thank you for joining us. Good night, everyone.
You've been listening to the Pro Football Report, presented by BCWSA. Tonight's show is an exclusive presentation of 1490 AM, as well as 107.3 FM, and heard around the world at WBCB1490.com.